Hi. I want to talk about the Battle of Karbala. This weekend, tomorrow specifically, is a day that some people will be mourning the death of a man named Hussein. I'm trying to decide how I want to talk about this, and to be honest with you, I don't want to talk about this in any relation to religion. This is a historical event that occurred over 1,000 years ago. It is historically recorded. I'm not relying necessarily on any religious text. It happened. And I think that the main message from this story is the battle of doing the right thing when it is unpopular, I guess. The way it, is tied to religion is that Hussein was the grandson of the Prophet Muhammad. During this battle, the Battle of Karbala, a man who was the caliph was a guy called Yazid. Yazid was a very corrupt leader. That's pretty agreed upon by everyone. That he was very much using the name of God as a way to do terrible things, as we have seen in the world over and over and over again. Whenever you are cutting off the water supply in the name of God, I fear God is nowhere to be found in that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So Hussein was with largely his family, and there were 72 people with him, and eventually they're in a place called Karbala. It's in Iraq, modern day Iraq, and they're traveling through the desert, and they become surrounded by Yazid's army. And when the sun goes down, the day before the battle, when the sun goes down, Hussein said to the 72 people that were with him, "Y'all, they're not here for you, basically. They are here for me. They want me to pay allegiance to Yazid. They don't want nothing to do with you all. We are insanely outnumbered. There are thousands of them. There's 72 of us. It's dark. Y'all leave. Escape. They don't want anything to do with you. And this is not about to go well. So if you all leave, that's fine. Do that. Save yourself, basically." And they said no. The 72 of them said no, because they understood that what Hussein was standing up against was a tyrannical leader, a corrupt leader. Even though that leader had so many more people on his side, Hussein knew that, this is not right. It was a brutal battle. Hussein was martyred in this battle, along with the majority of his family. For me, I don't think you need to be Muslim. I don't think you need to be religious at all to be able to extract the message or the lesson, I guess, that comes with remembering the Battle of Karbala and remembering the life and death of Hussein. If you've seen people on your timeline, on your For You, who are wearing black, and specifically if you've seen men hitting their chest, this is what it is in relation to. I understand that a lot of folks have issue with them hitting their chest. That is, the reason that they do that, what it is symbolic of is Hussein was trampled by horses. It was a brutal, his death was it was bad. It was really, really, really bad. A desecration. You understand what I'm saying? Just a humiliation. But it's that. It's I guess you could say inflicting like a tiny fraction of the pain that he went through. That's not right. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. Baby, they're not hitting me, so I'm really not tripping. You know what I mean? They don't beat me. They don't beat my chest. So, like, do your thing. For me personally, I'm not necessarily one to be like, ooh, look at how look at the way you do your sins. I, for one, am 1,000% sure that I have a list of sins that I need to reflect on. So, in the day of judgment, God never called me and said that the day of judgment is up to me. So somebody else beating their chest, even if that is, I'm like, oh, that's a sin. I have bigger fish to fry. For example, worrying about my own sins. You worry about you. You understand? But that is what that commemorates. And it is typically commemorated, it is always commemorated on the 10th day of Muharram by Shia Muslims. Again, you don't need to be Shia, you don't need to be Muslim, you don't need to be religious at all to understand the importance of, there's a group this big, there's a group this big. The group this big with all the power cut off the water supply. Does this sound familiar? Of the group this big. The group this big did not give in and say, all right, bro, we'll do what you say, we'll do what you say. They said, no, what you're doing is wrong. And I'm not going to not say that. Because it's wrong. It's a matter of having the courage to stand up against injustice. And I think it's an important lesson no matter who you are.